All right, third lesson on lighting here, some lighting basics, okay? We went in with our soft, kind of diffused lighting, okay? In the form of, I don't know, whatever, directional lighting on the side of objects, as well as, kind of this representation of something like a illuminated mist or, I don't know, fog, early morning fog, that type of thing. This is a white paint pen. You can use a white gel pen, any type of white pen that's going to have some degree of opacity in it, okay? They're not quite opaque. They're a little bit more translucent, but they're close to opaque. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to apply. Now, this isn't really going to show on here very well because I don't have anything that's really dark against in the background on these exercises here. But I'll try to get a little bit of this on here on the side of the trees, kind of facing the light here. It's kind of white against white, so it's kind of a, I don't know, you can't really see it. But here's an area right here where this tree is in front of this one right here. This one's close, this one's a little bit farther back. So I can kind of put some, like on the side of this tree, right here, on the side of this trunk right here. And that kind of pulls this tree a little bit more forward visually. Okay, so let's add some of that down there like that. But what we're doing right here is we're kind of dissipating the application of it. So here's the side of the tree right here, just pretend like that. And I'm kind of doing what I did with the shading. Okay, I had a darker area and then I transitioned it into lighter. Well, this one's a lighter transitioning into darker. So you can kind of spread your dots out a little bit farther. You can have it a little bit heavier in one side like this. Okay, and then you just kind of space those dots out a little bit more, and that's what's going on. Where is it? Like right there, okay? So I have this type of thing going on. So a little bit heavier, and then as it separates. I mean, it's not always this heavy right here. Like if it's a really dark scene or something like that, and I'm putting these dots down, it's going to have a lot of contrast, so it's going to show up a lot more. So I just kind of let my eye be the judge of it, and kind of this represents a certain amount of lighting hitting it. So if you have a kind of a dim, I don't know, whatever light source, then you might not have very much reflective highlights on something, okay? So on this one right here, this pen's a little bit whiter than probably this light source is going to be, so I'm just going to really kind of add just kind of a little bit of a sparse amount like this. Maybe I'll add a little bit more where I've added this mist, because maybe there's a little bit more lighting in that area, where it's illuminated, right? So I added some little dots right down in here, okay? But see, I mean, there's a little bit more here, a little bit less here. You can, vice versa, whatever. Okay, now on this one right here, remember, the highlights are now on the side of the object facing the light source, okay? So when we're doing the shadows, it's opposite. The shadows are on the opposite side of the objects. So on these ones right here, shadows on the left, highlighting on the right, but the trees to the left of the light source, the highlights are on the left side, shadows are on the right, okay? See this how I'm kind of oscillating it. I have a little bit of highlights, none, some, highlights, none, some right there. So I don't just do it like a line all the way down, something like that. I like to mix it up a little bit. All right, so that is that. Now we can put some down here as well. There's some highlighting like right in here, and then it transitions out here, and you can see the little dots are a little bit more spread out, so you condense them a little bit more, and then you space them out as it, the light, I don't know, whatever dissipates, okay? Now we'll do a lot more of this type pen work and highlighting, sharp highlighting. when we're working on colored pieces of paper or we're coloring scenes, so that there's more contrast. So I can't really, like I said, I can't really put like white little highlights on the side of this tree. You're not going to even be able to see them. Okay, now we have these pieces right here, and now that's just kind of an exercise in lighting, but I can't like let these sit as is. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but it kind of bugs me. So I'm going to finish these pieces off. These are just like real scrubby looking, smudgy looking scenes right now. And I would get everything stamped out normally before I started adding, waxy colored pencils and all that type of thing on here. But I want to finish these scenes off or see if we can add some ink after the fact. Okay, so it's just, you can add it over the white pigment ink in here with no problem, but I'm just not sure about this this waxy colored pencil, because if I'm using like a water-based ink, it might not stick to wax, but let's give it a try. So this is the Tiny Rock Small. Yeah, it looks like it's sticking okay to that colored pencil area. I'm going to add a little bit more in the shadows, even though these are just kind of like pebbly rocks like that. It can represent darkness if you add them kind of condensed like that, okay? But like I see how this is transitioning from darker or more dense to lighter like that. But it's also because it's going from wet to dry. So you stamp it out a few times like that. So then maybe this is the darkness and this is going into light. Okay, so how that would apply here, we went from darkness to lighter down here. So I'm adding a few more right around the base like that. Especially when it's like freshly inked, when I'm going like this, I have it in my darker areas like that. And in the lighter areas, maybe it's been stamped out a few times. All right. And let's do it on the wood grain paper as well. All right. And let's go with the grassy sedge filler here. I don't know, we don't really need this, but let's take a look and see if it'll read. This one's kind of more delicate like that, so I'm not even sure it'll show up. I think it'll show up on the white piece of paper though. Now normally I would go in after this and I would add in some shading into this grassy texture too. Remember that this is the sedge filler. There's another stamp called grass texture. See that right now I've given a little bit of horizon line there too. Okay, now Lynn has purchased a couple of these, the buck large. Let me see if I have room for these right here. So let me add those into these scenes so you can have an idea of what you can do with these. I'm gonna mask off that a little bit. Get this stamped right in there like so. It really adds a strong visual focal point, doesn't it? And let's go with, I don't know if I have room in here, but let's have this one just kind of peeking out from behind a tree right here. So I'll mask off the tree like that. Okay. And we'll get it right here. Like so. Turns it into like really gigantic sequoias or a representation of something like that, huh? Those giant, the largest or tallest living thing on Earth. All right, let's add in. I'm using my Brilliance right here because I didn't think my dye-based black would stamp over all these heavy applications of colored pencil, because like I said, colored pencil is kind of waxy. All right, let's have some overhanging tree limbs. Let's try to eradicate some of that really nasty, smudgy finger work of mine. Fingerprint. And these are the leaves. And it kind of finishes off the scene really nicely, doesn't it? I had that X marks the spot there on that side. I'll just stamp right over it. So no matter how smudgy you get or whatever in scenic stamping, if there's something going on in a scene that you don't like, you smudged something, you dropped a stamp or something like that, and it printed out, you know, an unintentional, undesirable type of thing, what do? You can just cover it right up, and it, I don't know, not only covers up, you know, or whatever, or mistakes or whatever, like I said, undesirable types of marks, but, you know, maybe it looks even better because you make your pieces kind of a little bit more dense and, I don't know, you know, full sometimes. All right, see that on the wood grain? That's foreground coming from above. And if you want to, you can add in some foreground from below too. And it helps to frame the scenes off really nicely here. Okay, so we'll go in like here. I go like this. Now watch my angle. I'll go like this. I'll tilt it. Let me see if I can get a second print out of it. No problem. All right, so watch this one right here. Here, change the angle. Maybe lower it a little bit too. And then over here, I'll kind of spread that out a little bit. So you get a nice little kind of framed, whatever, scenario, composition. Here, let me go a little bit more here. Maybe build a few more of these reeds over here. So I usually work it like this, this, and this, okay? Gotta wait for that to dry a little bit because it is on top of all of that wax in there, so it's not really absorbing into the paper really fast. I'm talking about this ink that I'm stamping out. A good one would probably be like a VersaFine Clear, could work as well. That's an oil-based pigment ink. The one I'm using here is a water-based pigment ink. Okay. Oops, let's go like that. These pieces up here look pretty cool just in black and white, I think. Okay. All right, so anyways, just a little bit more kind of defined lighting in here, and you know, a way to finish these pieces off. Should you want to. Like I said, these ones are more just exercises, but you can always turn your exercises into finished pieces. On these ones right here too, I mean, it is black and white or just grayscale. Now we've already added the white pigment ink, so now's not a great time to go over it with some additional inks, but you could if you wanted to. The thing that I would probably do though, instead of a wet media, like say if you wanted to add color to one of these pieces right here, or even this one, colored pencils would be a good bet to go in and render whatever tones you want to do. And that would also be a nice way to finish the pieces off. All right, so anyways, quick lesson here, and we'll get to some additional fun little projects here in Lynn's lessons. All right, thanks for watching, and thanks as always for tuning into the Stampscapes channel.